Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:08 of the Narragansett School Committee. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everyone for coming, and we apologize for our late start. Our exec session ran a little bit late tonight. Is there a motion to seal the executive session minutes from tonight?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And we did not take any votes in executive session. So now one of our most favorite parts of the meeting is our showcase, and we're very excited about that. So I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Cummings to do introductions.
Great. So I'd like to welcome to the podium Marianne Cook. So our recently retired excellent third grade educator for a long time. And so Marianne helped establish our partnership with the Special Olympics, and we were recently awarded the National Banner for Excellence in working with the Special Olympics, and Marianne will give all the details. We're very excited about this.
You have to push the button, and then you'll be able to see the. There you go.
Oh,
You're
boy.
on
Okay,
now.
there we go. Now it's official, huh? All right, I want to thank Dr. Cummings and all of you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. Unfortunately, Patty Carasoto could not be here tonight because she has a Special Olympics event herself, as she is a coach outside of school. I know Lisa had spoken to you back when this announcement was made back in the fall about our National Special Olympics Unified Champion School. There were 5 schools in the state that were named, and Narragansett Elementary was one of those schools. And we're hoping that the other 2 schools will follow along in the future because some of them do have unified teams. So we're hoping that they might follow along. But on Friday, April 10th, we had a wonderful celebration where the banner was revealed to the entire school. Also in attendance, we had a number of Special Olympics staff. We had board of directors from Special Olympics. We had the Narragansett Police Chief, the Narragansett Police Honor Guard, as well as many officers. We had some members from the Town Council and the School Committee, CJ and Justin, as well as many other invited guests. As part of this entire day, the student body all wore matching T-shirts, as you can see in your pictures. The shirt is what I have on. And those of you that were not able to attend, I do have your shirts with me tonight. There were 10 standards that we had to meet to receive this national recognition, and the standards were based on ways that inclusion, acceptance, unity, kindness, and respect are included on a daily basis at NES. And to do this, there were many of us that were involved in filling out the application. It was Lisa, Tracy, Mary Beth Marcotte, Holly Hummel, Donna Wallace, who was a retired physical therapist. She retired last year as well. Brian Jennings, because without their help, we would not have been able to meet the 10 standards and make sure that we were meeting them the way we needed to. Just a little background information. We started 5 years ago with the Young Athletes program at Narragansett Elementary. It was myself and Patty Carasoto's preschool class. And the 3rd graders were the unified partners for the young athletes. And we follow a young athletes curriculum for skill development, which is really awesome to see. I know the day of the ceremony in the morning, those invited guests, we had cards on the table that they could actually look at some of the cards and see what the curriculum was. Of course, with our New England weather, we also do book buddies because certain times of the year we can't get outside. So we do make every effort to get out when we can, and now they're all gung-ho about getting outside. This year's 4th graders were the original preschool young athletes that started the first year, which is really exciting because now they have come full circle and they love being partners. The 4th was originally preschool and 3rd grade, but because we only have 2 3rd grades this year, all of the 4th grades are taking part because we have 7 preschools. In the past 5 years, we've had 320 young athletes and 275 unified partners for a total of 575 students that have participated. Every year at the end of the year, we have an Olympic Young Athletes Field Olympics Day at NES, which is coming up in May this year. I can look up the date. I don't recall it offhand. But during this day, we have sports activities for the young athletes. The third graders help them out, and fourth graders will be helping them out as this year. Last year, it was great because some of our local police officers came and gave out the medals to the children, which they do at Special Olympics anyway. We've also, in 2024 and 2025, we were invited to the Rhode Island Special Olympics Summer Games at URI, which we took part in. We marched in opening ceremonies both years, and we've been invited again this year. And then on Saturday, we set up a young athletes event in the Olympic Village, which a lot of the staff and the third graders have taken part in every year to be partners for anybody that wants to go through we set up obstacle courses and stuff like that, and they love taking part in it. And I would just like to, for a last minute, we've also become a model young athletes program in the state of Rhode Island, and we've had other schools call us to find out how we got started and what we've done. But I have one particular impact statement that I would like to read, and I know Pete had heard this on Friday, but this was John, who did a wonderful job speaking on Friday, and he ended it with, having someone who wants your help and asks for your help is amazing. Taking part in young athletes, having Thomas as a partner was an experience I will never forget. It was a huge part of my elementary school experience. And that's from one of our fourth graders. So that was awesome. The whole ceremony was really a fun day, and we had a great time. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's very exciting. It's a great honor for the school district. And thank you to everyone for all their hard work for organizing. And we really appreciate you coming tonight and sharing and helping us celebrate. Does anyone from the school committee have any questions or any comments?
So me and CJ were lucky enough to be able to attend, and it was really, as said, a great ceremony, and I think the kids had a great time. It's great.
All right, well, go ahead,
Oh, I'm
CJ.
sorry, I didn't see it. It was so impressive, like seeing fourth graders present like they were professionals, but also, like you said, they were originally preschoolers, and having seen them from the beginning and progress, it's like a labor of love, I know, for you and Patty and everybody involved, Melissa. So it just warmed my heart. Michaela and I were sitting together. We were just both crying throughout the whole ceremony, so thank you for including us. Oh, I know. There was so many people crying. Thank you.
And thank you again for coming tonight and sharing that. We appreciate it. All right. We're going to move on with the meeting. It's now time for open forum. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to move on to oral reports. And we're going to start with the student liaison report from Hannah.
Good evening, everyone. April has been an eventful month so far at NHS. At the beginning of the month, we wrapped up the third quarter and began the fourth. Spring sports are now in full swing with baseball, softball, boys tennis, lacrosse, golf, sailing, and outdoor track and field already competing. Last Wednesday, 10th graders took PSATs and 11th graders took the SAT. These tests are important in preparing students for their futures after high school. Also on this day, freshmen participated in a team building and community service day, and seniors enjoyed a day off to work on their senior projects. On the following day, juniors were also given the opportunity to take the ACT if they wish to do so. The ACT is another standardized test that students can submit when applying to colleges and scholarships. Senior Project Presentation Day took place on Friday, April 10th. Seniors showed up to school in their business attire to present projects that they have been working on all year to a panel of judges. This day was an excellent opportunity for students to showcase their hard work, dedication, and growth that they invested into their senior projects. Students and teachers are looking forward to April break the week of April 20th, as well as some exciting events at the beginning of May. May 1st is National College Decision Day. To celebrate, seniors will wear their shirts to display their post-high school plans, and teachers will wear shirts from the college that they attended. Junior prom is also taking place on May 1st, during which juniors will enjoy a fun-filled night at Quinessa Country Club.
And I had a couple questions for you, and then just one ACT question for Dr. Cummings. I'll ask Dr. Cummings the question first about the ACT, because I want to circle back to you in a minute to see if you'd be willing to share what your senior project was this year, and if you've decided what your plans are for next year. But going to Pete first, that's great that the kids had the option if they wanted to also take the ACT. Is this the first year that that's been an option at the high school, or have they been doing that the past couple years?
We've been doing that the last few years, and so we have many students who, feel like the ACT may better be a better profile for them, and they may be applying to schools that are very familiar with the ACT. And so, we had about 30 kids take it this year. And it varies from year to year. This is one of the heavier times where we've had more kids take it than few more kids take it than usual this year.
Do our parents have to pay if they want to do the ACT?
They do, so it's just the typical test taking fee to take the ACT, but we are a registered kind of home site, and so I think it's really advantageous to our students, because I know when my own children took the ACT, they had to go down to Westerly on a Saturday morning, and so it's really great to be able to do it in school.
Especially because all the weekends, the kids are super busy with all their sports, extracurriculars, everything. It's a very busy time, so I think that's great. I didn't realize we were also doing that, so love that. All right. Hannah, I'd love to hear if you're willing to share what your senior project was about, or if you have decided on what you're going to do next year.
Yes, of course. So my senior project, I love yoga, so I got certified to teach yoga for my senior project. It was super awesome, very exciting for me, because it's something I've always wanted to do. And next year I'm going to University of South Carolina and majoring in psychology. Thank you. Very excited.
Do you know what you want to study?
Yes, I'm majoring in psychology.
All right.
Don't do it up here.
Oh, I won't.
Well, that's great. Very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You must be relieved that you've made your final decision, because I think the last update, you had a lot of acceptances
Yes.
and some hard decisions, and you were trying to narrow it down, so.
It was a hard decision, but I'm very excited to be warm year-round.
Yes. That's
Is that
great.
in Charleston?
Columbia,
Oh,
the capital.
Does anyone have any questions for Hannah?
No, best of luck. I'll warn you, you don't get as many snow days down there.
I know. So glad. Thank you
You're going to miss the 3 feet of snow?
so much.
All right, well, that's great. Thank you very much for your update, and, we wish you the best of luck, and we're very excited, so.
Thank you.
Okay, on to school committee. Does anyone have any subcommittee reports to give?
Oh, sure. CJ and I participated in being judges for the senior project last Friday, April 10th, and it's always a very interesting day. And I thought the projects each year, they get more challenging, and the students undertake some really challenging projects, and they do them very well. So it's always an enjoyable day, and I know the 5 I judged were outstanding. And did too.
They were excellent. And I had come over, and I think Melissa had come over also to judge. So I was fortunate enough to have ones that were musical and creative. So I got to do it, look through the presentations and stuff beforehand during lunch, and then got to go in and have these wonderful piano concert and yeah, an art thing. It was incredible. Someone learned the banjo. One of the students learned how to play clawhand banjo and everything. It was amazing.
Sounds like you were entertained.
I was blown away by it too. It's very creative.
And then Tammy and I met with the superintendent for a policy subcommittee meeting last Monday, just the past Monday. And we discussed the homeless policy that we'll be reviewing tonight as a committee.
All right. Anyone else have any reports to give? Okay, all right. We're on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Cummings?
Great, thank you. So, congratulations, Hannah. That's really terrific. And, you know, we have lots to celebrate. So I was also one of the judges for senior projects. Simply amazing. So much work goes into it. And I just want to publicly thank John O'Brien, who does a lot of the, or he does all of the coordination for that day. And John does a really terrific job of making it a community event. And I want to thank all of our mentors that did such a great job of helping our students kind of achieve their projects. We couldn't do it without you, without them. And I also want to thank all of our judges that come in. So we have people from across the community and across the state that come in and act as judges as a part of our senior project. And it truly is a community event that is really showing and evaluating and recognizing the hard work that our students put into their projects, which is really a stretch for almost everyone. So it's very exciting. So thanks to everyone for that great day. And you heard from Marianne around the unified banner, and that was really one of the nicest events I've been to in a very long time in Narragansett. Again, a great community event. I want to thank, the Narragansett Police Department for their support of that program. They brought the honor guard. We had bagpipes. It was incredible. I have a couple other recognitions that are really amazing, and so I would like to announce that Karuna Lohman, who's graduating this year, received the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Scholar Athlete of the Year Award, and so for the whole state. And so it's really incredible. She's going to be recognized at the end of the month. And so Karuna is an outstanding athlete and an outstanding scholar, and so every district gets to nominate one male and one female, and Karuna won it for the whole state. So we're really proud of her. It's really incredible. And I also want to recognize Hadrian Duncan, who from the Interscholastic League is receiving a Leadership and Service Award. So he'll be honored at that same banquet. So we are really proud of them and their accomplishments. I know there will be lots more recognitions to come for this amazing senior class, but those are two that just came out this week, so we're very proud of them.
Sounds great. Any questions for Dr. Cummings? All right, lots to celebrate. Love it. Okay, so we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve consent agenda items CA1A, CA2A, CA2B, and CA2C?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. On to the budget report. Karen?
Good evening. Expenditures for the 9 months ended March 31st, 2026 total $23,379,150. Expenditures and encumbrances total $32,567,076. And that's 87%, 87.79% of the budget, sorry.
Thank you. Any questions for Karen? All right. On to school committee business, our first voting item. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and the director of finance and administration to approve the purchase of playground equipment from M.E. O'Brien and Sons Incorporated, including installation, for $106,000?
Second.
Discussion.
Good evening.
Hello.
This is as was requested at the budget meeting. We proceeded with the purchase of the playground equipment for the elementary school as presented by Principal Wilson.
And so as a reminder to the committee, right, so there was a lot of terrific community fundraising to support this purchase, so we're really grateful to all those who participated in kind of supporting this purchase for our elementary school. we are using a bit of funds that we're reallocating from projects that came in under budget to get this over the top and help support the installation costs for the playground equipment.
Pete, we have all the information in our packet, but are you comfortable sharing just the high level, the anticipated fundraising dollar amount, the whole amount versus what we're contributing, just so people are aware that it's...
So we're really excited. So it's a full kind of redo of the elementary school playground, which is long overdue. We're really excited about that. So, the community, the Narragansett PTO and community support raised $73,500, which is really incredible, and that is the bulk of the cost of the purchase. We were able to find savings from some of our other projects at the level of $32,500, and so we're supporting kind of getting them over the top as well as the installation costs. And installation is pretty pricey just from the level of care that has to be put in for equipment for little kids. And so the total cost of $106,000, and the bulk of it coming from the PTO and the fundraising.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. It's really impressive, like in all of, the economy and everything that's going on, all of the local organizations that made donations and contributed, donations of over $70,000 is impressive. And the list is from the Lions Club, from URI, from PTO, obviously, and all the families. And even, some proceeds we're getting from Narragansett Restaurant Week, the kickoff party at the Towers. I mean, it's really impressive, to raise $70,000. So that is, as we all are, we're very happy, we talked about this during budget season, to support that. When you have a community that, spends all this time and generous donations, $70,000, and they're just so close to their goal, it makes sense for us to really look at our capital improvement plan and see what we can do to help finish it. So I'm really excited about the project, but I'm just so impressed by the fundraising.
Oh, it's really incredible, and so I want to particularly call out certainly the PTO, who really led the charge, but the Greek Society at URI donated $25,000 from one of their fundraisers, so that was a huge support. The Lions Club, who are always so incredibly supportive of our schools, donated $7,500. And those were, three major contributors to this. Westerly Credit Union is always a great supporter of our schools. And so we are really thankful for all of that community support.
And then my timeline question for Steve. So again, we've got a lot of detailed information, but can you just share out high level with the lead time on some of the equipment, what your hope and expectation might be for the timeline of, are things going to be phased? Is the whole thing going to be done at once? When would that be? Can you kind of share high level?
It'll be done during the summer for a September finish. I've been assured by the contractor that is a possibility. Equipment is a less lead time than was originally indicated, so we expect the equipment in by the end of the school year. So,
Will any of the equipment that we presently have be worked in with the new?
yes, there's some portions of it that are reused, and it will be repainted so that it matches the color scheme that we're using.
And this is the same company that just put in the equipment over at Cristofaro, right?
I'm unsure who put
Unsure,
Cristofaro.
okay.
I would assume that it's Emmy O'Brien. They seem to do a bit of the work down here because they're on a collaborative purchase agreement that a lot of communities are using.
Well, if it's the same company, that'd be great, because that stuff looks fantastic.
Great. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Think you'll get it done?
All right. Great. On to item number 2 Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the waiver request for the 180-day school year rule for Narragansett school system?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Pete?
So you're approving two things with this. So first, the Council on Secondary Education for the state of Rhode Island is going to forgive 2 of the days for the snow days from the blizzard this year, so to make the requirement 178 days this year. But the school committee has to vote, right, to approve that waiver, all right? And so that's part of what you are voting to approve. And so I would recommend that you do that. And then 2, what you're voting to approve is our request to have the calendar flexibility similar to what we had this year, where we're actually asking for 1 additional day, because we learned our lesson from the blizzard, and we can, because we have the time. So to request up to 5 days of flexibility of snow days, right? So that if there is a snow day, teachers would complete a professional learning day, but students would not have to make up that emergency closure day because the length of our school day far exceeds the minimum requirement from the Department of Education, and therefore we have more than the equivalent of 180 days already built into our calendar. Even if we were at 100, even if we used all 5 days and we're at 175 days, we're still well beyond the minimum requirement. So there's a process we need to go through. I need to put in that application for a waiver by May 1st.
Okay, so
Yes, so you all just need to vote to approve making the application.
Okay, so this is a vote to approve the application, and the 2 days from RIDE have already been approved? Or is this to accept?
You're approving both, right?
Okay.
So you're accepting their waiver,
Yeah.
essentially.
Okay.
And then you're voting to approve our application for a waiver for next year, should we need it.
All right, good, it came in handy this year, so.
It certainly did.
All right, any other questions for Pete? All right, very pleased that we had all this in place. Who knew we were going to need it as much as we did? So, question, Diane?
Well, not a question, but I remember when the school day was lengthened by that 15 minutes, and it really didn't sound like a lot, but when you multiply it out, it really did make a difference of 15 days of additional instructional method. And I didn't realize the state was so prescriptive about calendars and length of school day, that 990 instructional hours, and yet with our 15 minutes added, we're actually 90 hours above the stated RIDE goal.
Correct, right?
So-
And so that gives us lots of flexibility for the snow days. And overall, the benefit to us is having that instructional time built in earlier in the year, which is more quality learning time, than really just tacking it on at the end of June.
All right, any other questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. On to item number 3, is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the second read of the artificial intelligence policy for Narragansett school system?
Second?
Discussion?
You have already seen this policy. We had a presentation on it last time. So again, many thanks to Vanessa and to Julio for their hard work, and to the committee. Dave was part of the committee that put this together. And so I would recommend to you that we are ready to move forward and put this policy into action.
And there were no major changes since last month.
No, there were not.
All right, anyone have any questions or comments before we vote?
Just a short one. Yeah, it's, part of the committee that helped design this. I think everyone put in a lot of effort, as I mentioned last month. And, I'm sure we're going to see, it says the technology changes and how people implement the technology and how people interact with that changes. we'll probably have to update this, but I think this is going to give us a lot of flexibility around that road, and I do think it's a pretty good policy.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I mean, there's no policy that is perfect, and there's no policy, especially for a space that's emerging as quickly as this, that's going to have an extremely long lifespan. But I do think that it's flexible enough to meet the needs, or for at least the foreseeable future, and for our current students.
How is the AI guidelines for implementation coming along?
Good, we're starting. Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done there. I think the way that we crafted the policy and the way that our methodology is when we craft guidelines like this is that we want a lot of input from our community, and so from teachers, students, parents. And so we have a rough outline of the things that we want to put in place, lots of which are already mentioned in the policy. I think, as Dave indicated, it is changing so fast that already some of the things that we originally thought would be in our guidelines are outdated. So we're continuing to have to update as we roll them forward.
All right, any other final questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. On to item number 4, is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the first read of the McKinney-Vento policy for Narragansett school system? Can we make a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
So I'd like to welcome Dr. Denton to the podium. So Melissa, one of her very many hats that she wears is being our homeless liaison. Do I have that right? Or coordinator?
That's my title.
Yes. And so Melissa can tell you the full background of this. I will just publicly say I'm grateful for her work and her attention to detail. This is a complex issue with both federal and state legislation, and so having the policy updated, I think, is really critical. I will also say the items in this policy are things that we are already doing, so we're having our policy catch up with our practice.
So the McKinney-Vento Homeless Act is what is the basis for this policy. Last year, Narragansett went through an audit of federal programming with the Department of Education, and through that audit, we found out that this policy had not been looked at since maybe the early 2000s. So I have worked closely with the Department of Ed to look at model policies, have drafted this policy, and also sent it back to get their feedback, made revisions, and then submitted it to Dr. Cummings and our policy committee for review. Once this is approved at your future school committee meeting, then we will forward it to the Department of Education so that it is on file, that we are in full practice. I would completely agree with Dr. Cummings that these are practices that we're already doing. It's just updating our policy to match the new legislation.
I'll just say from Diane and I took a deep dive with Pete when we did the policy subcommittee. I thought it's extremely well written, and it seems like a lot of the templated language came from RIDE. I really like how it's formatted. I think it's very clear, very succinct, very easy to understand and follow. Like I really like everything about it. But especially how it's formatted with the definitions and everything. I thought it was very clear. I really like how it is.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions before we take a vote? And this is a first read, so this will come back again next month. But any comments or questions for now before we vote?
No, if we're just essentially codifying the procedures we've already had in place, then we know that this works for our district. So
And updating our policy to match what we're doing because we're in full compliance.
all right, that sounds great. I'm in support of it.
And thank you for your work on this. I think this will be great, that
Great.
RIDE will have yet another one of our policies to really look at, to guide other districts who need to do stuff. So, good. All right, so there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. In our last item for tonight, is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the school committee meeting schedule for 26-27 school year?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So what you will see in front of you is our outline that follows our patterns from past years. July is typically a school committee workshop, right, where we do some professional learning for the school committee and think of some long-term visioning for the district. August is to get our last hires in and anything else that we might need to open school. And then, just one or two other highlights. We're going to follow the pattern of doing our budget workshops within the same week. I think that was a good change from this past year that we're going to follow again. We're waiting on the town for the time of their public hearing on the school budget in the spring. And if you recall, we are required to do a joint town council and school committee workshop. We typically do that in December to discuss the outline of the upcoming budget.
And so just for people to take a note of, our summer workshop is a pretty important meeting. And so if people, I don't know if you have your calendars or if that date definitely works, or if anybody knows for sure that July 15th does not work if you're away and traveling, then we can change the date on that if we need to. But does anyone know right now if July 15th for the summer workshop definitely does not work? And we can certainly, vote tonight on the whole calendar, but, looking at that July workshop. The August one, you can see it's purposely earlier than usual. That's not the third Wednesday. And that is so if there's any late hires or purchasing or anything that needs to be done.
Just one fix to that. August meeting should be August 19th. Apologies, instead of August 10th.
Hold on.
And that's the third Wednesday of the month, like the others.
Okay. I wasn't sure if purposely you guys were looking at the second one, or if you like it, Pete, to stay on the third one, because again, it's up to you, Pete, what you're recommending. So
I
it's
think
either
it would be
the 12th or the 19th,
Yeah.
right?
I think it would be helpful to have it on the 12th, just for our hiring purposes, rather than on the 19th, if that works for people. If it doesn't, we can certainly do it on the 19th.
For me, the July one is important, 100% I can do that. I'm away in the middle of August, but the August one is, as long as you've got 3 people, the July one is important. So I think for the August one, it's more important to pick the date that works best for you, Pete, with the hiring.
Yeah, we
And we can always have special meetings
work.
too,
Right.
but.
So if you all would prefer the 19th, that's perfectly fine. The 12th would be okay too. So if you're away on the 12th, Tammy, we could do the 19th.
I think it's the, I'm sorry, I just don't have it in,
No worries.
I don't have that. I think just pick the date that works for people and I'll figure it out. I just can't remember which week I'm away. I don't have it in my phone.
So why don't we keep it to our typical pattern and keep
Okay.
it on the 19th?
Okay. Lauren, does everything else look pretty standard? Like I can see that the September one, that is the third Wednesday, so everything else is pretty standard.
Yes, the only things that we're waiting for are the highlighted sections where, once we hear from the town, those will be confirmed, but this is what I give them as guidance.
Okay. All right, so for the committee, taking a look at the draft that we are going to vote on, and just the only correction is the August one is going to be Wednesday, August 19th. Any other comments or questions about any of the meetings before we take a vote?
The 27th? June 16th? So that is typically the third. As long as we have 4 people that can make it, it's okay.
All right. Any other comments or questions before we vote? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Are there any communications that anyone wants to mention before we close? Okay. All right, so we are back here May 20th for our regular business meeting at 7 o'clock. Is there a motion to adjourn at 7:50?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?